Well, in the last episode, I forgot to write these empty braces. And since I said this episode would be about the package manager, so I thought I'd create a package that solves this problem by providing a function that accepts only one parameter instead of two. And while building this package, you'll learn everything you need. Well, here I have an empty project, so I'll create an entry point file, and inside it I'll import the standard library. Then I'll create a new function that takes only one parameter and internally passes it to the standard library function. After that, I'll create a test section and write a simple test to verify whether the build system is working or not. You might ask, why don't we use the run command to verify it? Well, because here we're not creating an executable file. We're just writing code and testing it and then publishing it so it can be used later in other projects. The code will be built as part of the project code during the build process when the user requests it. And for all this to happen, I'll create a build.zig file, and inside it, I'll import the standard library as usual, and then I will create the build function. But pay attention, because things are different here. The first thing I'll do is add the target and optimize options, like I explained in the last episode. After that, I'll add the rpackage module to the build system like this. Then I'll also add the tests and link them to the package module that I stored from the add module function at the beginning. After that, I'll add the test step like this to the build system. Now we need to create a new file called build.zig.zon. This file serves as a metadata file for the package. It contains information like the name, which is written like this as if it's a tag, not text. Then we have the version, which is a string divided into major, minor, and patch. Then we have the minimum zig version to specify the minimum zig version that can run this package. After that, there's path, which is an array containing file names or their path, like the build file, zone file, the source code, and even the README file. Then finally, there's the fingerprint, which the package manager needs, and it's generated by the system itself. For example, if we try to run the build system, we'll find that Zig tells you the fingerprint is incorrect, and you need to change it. So I will replace my value with it. After that, I'll create a simple README file that explains the purpose of the package and how to use it. Well, I think now we're ready to publish the package, and to do that, we need to upload it to GitHub. But firstly, I'll run the tests to make sure everything is working fine. Then I'll run the getInitialize command. And after that, I'll create a getignore file and exclude the cache and out folders from the repo. And finally, I'll make a commit with the version number and publish it as a public repository. Now, if we go back to the Zig project we started the episode with, I can use the zig fetch command to download the package locally. And if there's no zone file in the project, the Zig build system will create one like this and automatically adds the information we mentioned a moment ago, but with the dependencies field, which is where the packages used in this project are defined. And as you can see, each package has two main fields. The first is the URL, which is a link to a compressed file containing the package files. And by the way, it's automatically provided by GitHub, but this link contains the current package files, not a specific version, and personally, I don't recommend this. So I'll back to GitHub and create a new release with the package version number. Then I'll copy this link and go back to fetch again. Well, this warning appeared because we already had the same package installed before. And if you look at the link field, you'll find that it has been updated. However, as for the hash field, it computed from the file contents of the directory of files that is obtained after fetching the URL and applying the inclusion rules given by paths. The packages do not come from the URL, they come from the hash. So the URL is just one of many possible mirrors for how to obtain a package matching this hash. Also, we have the path field if you want to import the package from a local path instead of a URL on the internet. There's also the lazy option. When this is set to true, the package is declared to be lazily fetched, and this makes the dependency only get fetched if it is actually used. However, I'll go to the build file and add the EasyPrint package as a dependency. Then I'll add the EasyPrint module that we created in the build file of the package itself a moment ago to my project build system. And finally, I will replace the standard library with my own package, and I will use my print function instead of the standard library function, so finally I can use the print function directly without passing the empty braces. Now, if I try to run the code, I'll find that everything works fine. By the way, this is the second time I'm breaking the 3-minute rule, so don't forget to like and hype the video. Honestly, I'm thinking about dedicating myself completely to the channel. If you want me to do that, don't forget to join to the channel because this matter is really difficult. Also, I'm thinking about opening a new studio and bringing in a team. Maybe I'll make a video about it and show you the place. However, I'm still thinking about the topic for the next episode. If you have a suggestion, write it in the comments. Thanks for watching and see you next time.